You're listening to the Band of Runners podcast with me, Simon Staples, and my friend Rob Cowlin.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So I have the privilege of being amongst some multi-day legendary athletes here. This is Rob, obviously speaking. Don't know my annoying voice by now. We're just going to go around and introduce everyone and then talk to you about some of the key questions, things that people want to know when it comes to doing 10 in 10 or 20 in 20 or any other sort of mad multi-day challenges. We've got a bit of a constellation of people here in terms of their experience, but for myself, I've actually only done one 10 in 10, which is a very stupid sentence to say. One 10 in 10, albeit quite slowly. 10 in 10 marathons accidentally after thinking I would only be able to do halves. Did that back in last year with Phoenix Running, and we'll be attempting it again in a month's time, which kind of indicates why we're sort of picking this timing to do it. I've always actually, in terms of background, hated multi-day running, but I suppose I've done a lot of things in my life that I absolutely hate and got through them. So gone back again because, it was the best holiday ever, as someone once said.
Or so, cheaper than real therapy.
Cheaper than real therapy, as I said to you, yes. So I go on the subject of therapy. Simon?
Yep. Oh, yeah. So
are you here?
I've done one 10 in 10 as well, which was the
Well
same one as you. That's
Yeah.
where we met. And I really enjoyed it. It was the best holiday ever.
Sounds like you're doing a show and tell at school.
Yeah.
That's probably exactly how I said
But
it.
everyone knows us, so let's just move on. So sitting next to you on this couch, it's Ollie Dawson. Evening, Ollie.
Evening.
So what's your multi-day or 10 in 10?
Well, I have done 2 10 and 10s because 2 tits is enough. That's my
Show off.
That's my saying from last time.
Mm-hmm.
First one done marathons. That was in late 2017 or 18. Things are quite relative now. And I also participated in your best holiday that I ever had.
Enjoyed having you.
You were
there.
part of the best holiday ever.
I was
Yeah.
part of the best holiday I've had. And that one I done ultras this time around. So I wanted to push myself a little bit further.
33 miles a day?
Well, this is the thing. I say it's 33 miles. Mr. Vercoe protests that his measuring stick says otherwise. But my Garmin, I know I do weave around a little bit on the old Garmin, but my Garmin
You did weave sometimes.
said it was longer. Mr. Gareth Allen, who has military grade tracking, also had similar to this, but the official race measuring stick said it was 53.3 kilometres.
So I think, Ollie, is you have to go back this time, right, with a trundle wheel. Is that what we're going to see?
You never know.
Are you going back?
I have a 100-miler this time.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And a note from your
Sorry.
mum.
All right, sitting next to Ollie is it Vicky or Victoria?
Victoria.
Victoria Fakkel, yes.
Yep.
So
That's right.
your experience?
I have done one 10 in 10, which was the best holiday ever last April.
Yeah.
I did half marathons. Absolutely loved it. I am coming back again this April.
You won them. You won it. Everyone's nodding, so yes, you did. Yeah,
She
you
won.
definitely did.
She just hasn't made as big a deal of it as you did. God, the blogs we've had to read.
until I met you, Simon, on day 2, I hadn't even thought about times.
And now it doesn't leave your head.
That is true. So yes, I'm coming back this April. The aim is to do marathons.
Oh, you'll do
but
that.
You can do it.
We'll see.
Good. And then next to Victoria, a couple of people know him. Rick Vercoe, what's your experience of 10 in 10 or multiple day running?
So I've done 6 10 in 10s, all in 2013 actually, and I was fortunate enough to set the world record at the end of 2013 for 10 marathons in 10 days, which was good fun. And I've recently turned my hand to race directing, so we hosted our first Phoenix 10 in 10 event last year. We've done a lot of multi-day stuff, but it's the first time we tried 10 consecutive days. It was the most hectic holiday ever from an organising perspective, but it was great fun.
We saw that one.
It was also really good, to see you guys, amongst others, achieving so many cool things. Victoria being very modest over there with her 10 half marathons, but if I remember rightly, you were right around 1:45, 1:46, like metronomic times.
We
every day.
we
Wow.
did most days together.
Yeah.
Vicky and I, because we would just lead it together each day. I seem to remember.
You were nearly always out front.
He just wanted you to say that.
Just
hang.
But it was, but it's really good to sort of see those sorts of things, and you get to see that from the race director side of the table. So, your times were really, really consistent, and there were loads of other people, that achieved amazing things. And the one thing about a 10 in 10, and I know we're going to go on to talk about it in lots of details, but they more often than not, they are life-changing experiences. When you do a 10 in 10, it will affect your life in some sort of way. Usually, you do things that you didn't think you could do previously. So, always good fun.
And before we get right into it, Rick, I suppose you've been around the 10 in 10 and the race directing scene, everything. It's great to have you on. But, how I sort of struggle, other than the fact we've sort of done it, that this exists. I don't really understand how this comes to be and why people want it. But what's the history? Where's 10 in 10 come from?
So, good question. So, I can probably give you a fairly accurate history of 10 in 10, because I think I was probably, for whatever reason, there for some of it as it unfolded. So the 10 in 10 is, I don't think it's even a teenager yet. So the 10 in 10 in this country in its existence, I think it's about 12, 13 years old. So 2007 was the first 10 in 10 in Braithey. And Braithey really is the gold standard in 10 in 10 still. I think, you read kind of write-ups on the 10 in 10 and whether or not people admit it, I think people look to that 10 in 10 from an organisational perspective, and they aspire to do that. But so 2007, Sir Christopher Ball asked the question of the long-standing Windermere Marathon, which has been around for about 30 years, why can't we do it 10 times in a row? And I think there were probably about 7 or 8 folks.
Why does anyone ask that?
It often starts with that sort of question,
it sounds
doesn't
like a
it?
stupid question.
And, so I think 7 or 8 folks ran round it that first year, and then it was sort of standalone for a few more years after that. People like Foxy, who you'll know from Enigma Running, he got involved in the early days. I think he's done 6 Braithays, maybe more. And then it wasn't until about 2011, I think, that there was a conversation, which I was part of, up at Great Barrow Challenge, GBC, with Glenn and the guys one night. We were doing their GBC 4 in 4, and we're chatting and saying, Glenn, you've got perfect facilities here for a 10 in 10. And in fact, at that time, we were trying to persuade him to do a 20 in 10, but I don't think the UK was really ready for it at that point. But in fairness to him, he put it on. So he put on the second ever 10 in 10. And then I think there's another chap called Steve Warallo. A lot of people won't know Steve, but he's a great guy from Ultra Running Limited. And he actually put on a 10 in 10 the same year, I think, or maybe the year after. And for whatever reason, that wasn't quite as well attended. But if anybody knows Ultra Running Limited's events, they are great events. Go along and run with Steve. And then I think after that, it was probably Travis, SVN. I think probably went next, 2016, 17, something like that. And obviously put on probably the first 10 challenges in 10 days, different thing to 10 marathons. And then we came along in last year, obviously put our version of it on, which is also kind of multi-distances, halves, fulls, and an ultra marathon. So it's not really got that long a history in this country. And what's really interesting about the history of it is that from a world record perspective, it's all about the Brits. So there's a handful of Brits that have kept the world record well and truly on this side of the ocean for a long time. So Sally Ford is the female 10 in 10. I got a message from Sally just yesterday because I was trying to persuade her to come down for our 10 in 10.
You're hearing that, Victoria?
And so she set the ladies' world record at Braithey, I think in 2011. And then, there's a chap you'll have all heard of called Steve Edwards, who I think set it for the first time, also at Braithey back in the early days. Adam then came along, Adam Holland, that you'll all know, took it off Steve. I took it off Adam in 2013, and then it rightfully should have gone back to Adam quite a long time ago because he's destroyed it a couple of times since then. And there was a chap, Mike Wardian, who I've actually also been in touch with, who claimed the record, I think, last year, but actually Adam had 2 or 3 times faster than him, and now he's properly got it ratified. So it's firmly stayed on this side of the pond, which is, is something I'm particularly proud of.
Blimey now, it sounds like you're going to have some competition, Simon.
Okay, let's move on.
Simon's not competitive.
I'm not
competitive. We're aware of that.
Right, we're going to answer, or try to answer, a load of questions that people have actually asked. So the first one, and this is open to anyone, But let's start with somebody. Rob, let's start with you. Nutrition.
Nutrition, yeah.
What sort of
Sound like the
things?
person to ask?
What sort of things did you eat, and what did you avoid eating? Before, after, during?
Well, it was just kind of accidental. I mean, the only 10 I've ever done, obviously I was staying at an Airbnb, sort of awkwardly in a lady's house next to her room, and she did parkrun. I was sort of trying to avoid the conversation about what I was doing for as long as I could, but the amount of trainers and things she saw, and the food and things she was obviously seeing in her bin and her fridge, told the tale. But basically, it was kind of sensible. I had the best of intentions. I've always, well, believe it or not, been quite like regimented. Just eat the same boring stuff every day, have a routine. I've never done multi-day events successfully, but I was like, okay, I'll have the same porridge every morning. I'll drink the same protein energy type drink on the way down. And then the ritual every day, which annoyed the hell out of you, Si, was to have half of a malt loaf at halfway, like just sit down with a thermos of coffee that I've made in the morning after I've done half while I'm changing my socks and putting my email oil on.
Ollie, you're looking. Did that annoy you?
I was jealous.
I totally didn't know that. I didn't see that.
You
at
wanted
all
some malt
throughout-
loaf.
throughout the whole thing. I was
It didn't annoy me.
I was just trudging up and down. It was like 1 lap, 2 laps, 3 laps.
You were busy, weren't you?
I was just
Okay, so during
backwards
Rob,
and
during
forwards.
you're having malt loaf and stuff.
Yeah.
And I hate to say I'd gone home by that point.
Yeah, because too fast. You missed the best lunches ever. But like, so is that. And then what I do is
Lunch
put the
for
rest
cutlery.
in my pocket and march around doing that. But when I say the accident happened was in the evenings, because someone, I can't remember if it was Mr. Vercoe, probably was, said you should just do what you're doing every day. And I just happened to have, I think while he was finishing the race results, because it was the biggest admin exercise ever, I think, for Rick. I just finished having a bottle of white, I think, and then it was like, oh, I could go off for dinner. And he was just like, keep on doing what you're doing. And so, therefore, literally every single evening, despite all of the good things happening in the day, was typically chip shop, bottle of wine before, and then a few cans of whatever down by the rowing club, where I used to just sit, hang my legs over the side therapeutically, and sort of bash them against the concrete wall.
Okay, so that's one way of doing it then.
That's one way of doing it.
So decent in the morning and then just chaos in the evening.
Yeah.
Victoria, what about yourself?
Well, I was the same in that I tried to keep my routine the same, but the opposite in that I normally exercise fasted, apart from not when I'm running marathons, I don't. But because I was doing half marathons, I actually decided to stick with doing that. So all I had was a banana beforehand. I don't recommend that, but that is what I did. And then afterwards, I would make sure I had a milkshake, pasta. I tried to stay off the alcohol for the 10 days. But that
How
was
does
quite,
that work?
I think I caved about day 8.
Ooh, day
Wow.
eight.
That's impressive.
But,
Not
yeah,
bad.
no, that was quite impressive for me. So,
Rob, when did you cave?
Day one.
Yay.
Day 0.
so the only thing what I will change this time is that I will eat properly.
Because you're going to up this. So you're going to go
Yes.
to marathons.
Yes.
So do
Yeah.
you
So I will
do
eat
you have a
properly.
plan
Yes.
then? You have a plan.
Well,
You've got a
kind
nutrition
of,
plan.
because I do the
Two
same.
So what-
bananas.
I'm a bit the same whenever I run a marathon. I have porridge and banana in the morning,
Right.
and that's.
And then what do you do during?
During I just
Aid station.
aid station,
Okay.
And then evening? Have you
and
got any
then
plans?
evening I will probably just have pastas again.
Mm.
Like I say, I have a milkshake immediately afterwards.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
a protein
Supposedly
thing? 'Cause
I
people always say you got to have
protein,
protein
yeah.
within like 40 minutes or something, and
20. Well,
I'm
I
usually
read
busy
20
with wine
minutes,
at
but
that point.
I used to have one. I used to have a thing of SIS. The strawberry flavour was my preference one, but I used to have one waiting at the finish line.
Is this straight after?
Yeah,
you
straight
know,
away.
sort of like,
Literally
yeah.
cross the at Braithwaite, we cross the finish line and they put it in your
Posh,
hand,
it's there.
and
yeah.
then you sort of drink it down because you're getting a protein into you straight away because you're in deficit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I that always worked for me.
I have it in a cool bag in the car.
Cool
Yeah.
bag. Yeah, everyone
Car
needs to invest in
and-
one of those as well if you're coming
Yes.
down.
Simon loves a cool bag.
Yeah. I've still got the same crappy
I have a
one.
bag. I have a bag for life, but
Well, that's what I started
just
with.
keep it out
Yeah.
of the sun. It'll be fine.
But I have for goodness shakes, and you can get them on offer everywhere. I don't pay full price for them because they're always on offer somewhere. So
That's a
That's
life
my
hack
tip.
there.
That sounds better than Rob's.
It is better.
What about you? Oh, you're not serious, Ollie, are you? What did you do?
Oh, so similar sort
So
of.
hang on. Bear in mind that you were doing 33 miles a day. So you were.
Suppose.
I've
you
won
were going
supporting
long,
the
weren't
33.
you? Yeah.
Thanks, Simon.
That's all right. So what were you doing?
But so in the morning, I was doing the same as what I've done normally. So whether I run marathon, 6 hour, 8 hour ultra, I would have like a crumpet selection, as I like to call it, which is basically
What?
free. It's free crumpet.
Okay.
With different crumpet with cream cheese, crumpet with butter,
Yeah.
crumpet with butter and ham.
Okay. I like it.
Might mix up the
Yeah.
order.
I like it. Sounds like there's a bit of a mystery involved. Like you're going to just trick yourself and one's peanut
Absolutely.
butter one
What are
day.
you doing in the race?
So in the race, for anything up to 6 hours or so, I can literally just go on what's on aid station. So, water, orange juice. So, anything that's like not jelly bean, not sugary based. So sugary based, and then always a little bit of thanks for all the pretzels, by the way, Rick. That was
So salts.
I like
Yeah.
the pretzels
Salt.
too.
but
Do
that
any
would
of
be
you
about
guys
halfway
do,
through.
any of you guys do like salt tablets or anything?
Yeah, I used to
You
do
used to,
salt
yeah.
tablets. Yeah, so to doing the kind of, I suppose the serious when I was trying to go as quick as possible for the 10 in 10, it was a decent breakfast, like something savoury, like Ollie says, toast or crumpets. And I always struggle to eat in the morning. I'm not a breakfast person, but I needed to kind of force down a couple of slices of toast. And then I had a routine during the race, which was normally a goo gel, which is quite a sort of
Stodgy thing.
a stodgy one rather than one with a lot of liquid in it, every 10k, and then a couple of S-caps, salt tablets every 10k as well, and then probably a zero tab in there somewhere for electrolytes, and then an SIS milkshake the minute across the line to put the protein
That
back
sounds
in.
more expensive than the race.
No, it's all quite cheap stuff, and then a proper meal at night, like something with vegetables.
Yeah.
You know, something with carrots and beans and vegetables, which when we were doing the Relentless, which was kind of all around the country, you'd be amazed how you just can't get vegetables. You know, everywhere is chips.
Just beige.
Yeah. So
That
just,
sounds alright.
as I said to you, Rob, it's really sort of normal. I mean, the key is routine, I think. But I think it's just to sort of do what you normally do. You know, don't try anything new probably at this stage, and just have a decent meal in the evening. And
Yeah, I don't think you
Okay.
realise where your words are going to rub off. You
I mean,
haven't seen me just have the bottle of Sauvignon. So
I mean, I think I lost almost half a stone over that 10 in 10.
yeah.
And
Well,
I
you're
c- I
probably
couldn't-
burning, even when you're, even for someone like you, who's probably in good shape and fit, you're probably still burning 3,000 calories in a marathon.
I think a little less.
but I'm not in good
Yeah,
shape and fit.
I
And I
don't
put on
know.
2 pounds that week.
Well, that's, yeah. I mean, that's all
Water
the,
retention, Rob.
I'm the water retention.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Wine
yeah.
retention.
Because I didn't lose any weight.
You
I was
didn't?
expecting to lose weight, and I didn't lose any weight.
Yeah, on one banana. That doesn't feel fair.
No,
I-
I was eating a lot afterwards.
Right.
Okay, right. So that's the first one tick. Then I guess
Tick.
is that any good? I don't even know if that's any good. Or
I'd
not.
say sort of no, but
It's a
have the time.
variety, isn't it? I mean, just whatever you feel comfortable with. I think.
Yeah, I think you've got to eat something during, but it's all about your pace and stuff. And something we haven't mentioned is what's that liquid? I've forgotten the name of it. What's the liquid stuff that's powder that some people swear by over distance, drinking that instead out of
Yeah,
the
that's
bottles?
Oh, tailwind.
Tailwind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No
yeah.
one ever done tailwind.
I do. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, it's never agreed with me.
I don't like
but-
any of the gimmicks. I'm just all normal stuff. Just normal
Yeah.
food.
I think
have
normal
ordered
food.
some to try, but I haven't got around to trying it yet.
Unless you're obviously going like full athlete, like intent, like world record, and obviously sitting with some fast people
Mhm.
here, but just eat what you like.
All right. Next question from Curtis Thorburn. Feet, nail, body, blisters, chafing. How did you all get through it in 10 days? Emu oil, Rob, you had?
I did, but has anyone got any like gory horror stories, losing nails or bits of body?
I
Patching
survived.
I survived. I think everyone
Yeah.
survived.
Nothing
I survived.
really-
So how did you do it then? Victoria, how did you do it?
Well, maybe it was even before the 10 in 10 started. Gareth mentioned Tiger Balm, and I thought, oh, I haven't heard of that. Go and check that out. And I got a slight niggle after day one, and I thought, oh, quick, rub the Tiger Balm on, and it was like a miracle. I woke up the next morning, and I was all good to go. So
Yeah, it's deep
Yeah,
heat.
I
That's
isn't
your
it?
like that now.
biggest.
Yeah.
No blisters, no nothing.
no blisters, no.
Rick.
No, I mean, this is one of the areas I've not really got any experience of because I just was fortunate. I don't think I ever got a blister from running. Lost a few nails,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
most of that would be from doing hilly stuff, and just.
I mean, have
pressing
any
on
of
the
you
front
guys
shoes.
tried Knock cream? It's NOK.
No.
Knock cream.
No.
No.
Tell me more.
That's a good. Thank you, Ollie. That's a good one. I mean, it basically supples your feet up, and you're supposed to apply this stuff like 20 days before and keep going. And I did it back in the early days. I didn't do it for 10 in 10, but it worked. So if people are like subject to blisters or anything like that, I'd recommend that. And toe socks.
I have to say, just the last couple of months, I've had problems with my toes, and I started wearing
Ingenie.
Gingies, yeah.
and
They're the
Brilliant.
best.
Yeah,
The
Absolutely
best socks
amazing.
ever.
you can get some cheapo ones off Amazon. I've got like quite a few cheapo ones.
Pay for the proper ones.
Yeah, I agree, Rob. The
Yes.
cheapo ones do not last.
We're not sponsored by GG, but they are the best.
Yeah, but they're
socks
the only
ever.
ones out there, I think.
Yeah, they're just top tier.
Um,
But on the socks front, so definitely, again, annoying people that were running the whole time. But when I was having my little lunch break, I would always switch from my GG sort of like level socks to, as part of recovery, I suppose, long socks. Because someone once told me, and when someone tells me one thing and like doesn't think anything of it, I'll take it as advice. But advice I can accept, because if someone tells me what to do, I'll never do it ever, even if it's a really great idea. But someone just said, oh, if you wear long socks, like compression socks, it helps recovery because it improves circulation. I was like, that could be true. I don't know, but I'm just going to start doing it. And so I did that for the last 4 laps of the marathon every day. And I'm pretty sure that helped me recover. And I just kept them on for the whole time after. I didn't have any sort of specific problems, but that definitely helped. I think the legs keep going. And
any of you guys switch trainers?
Yes, I did wear different trainers. Alternate days. Alternate days.
Yeah, and I used to rotate trainers normally all the time, so I would have worn a different pair, not every single day, but I would have switched them every day. So
Yeah.
about 5-6 pairs rotating pretty much all the
Yeah,
time.
so I remember switching actually on the 10 in 10, and I had a problem with my black ones. So I had a black pair and a grey pair, and I just ended up wearing the grey pair for like the last 5 days. But shoe rotation, I think, is good.
I wore the same
definitely.
ones, same type, but like just literally a different pair of them. So the exact same model of trainer, just a different set of them. So
Yes, that's what I have.
Yeah, I mean, shoe rotation is quite important. Maybe not during a 10 in 10 unless you've already got some, but you imagine a pair of shoes wears out. So if you're going from an old pair that's worn a lot on the outside and you suddenly go into a new pair, then actually you'll put tension on the inside and the outside of your knees, and you'll get all sorts of niggles. So yeah, it's a good thing to do.
Right, next one. Tips on recovery. That's from Babs O'Kane. And eating straight after we sort of covered. I have a meal deal. You
Where
We
do
have
you
a
go for your meal
milkshake.
deal?
Tesco's, mate.
Tesco,
It's in the Hersham next to the
Course
train
you do.
station or whatever it is. £3, yeah. But recovering, like what were you guys doing after each race? And I think a few people have asked this actually. What do you do at the end of it? At the end of each day? Ollie, what did you do at the end of each day?
So I was pretty much the same. I had my protein shake in back of the car. So as soon as I finished, pretty much protein shake. Then it was about an hour drive back to mine, and I would then eat proper food straight away.
What's proper food?
So I'd cook proper food. So I'd
You
cook pasta. Yeah, I fancy myself as quite a cook.
Yeah.
I haven't poisoned anyone yet,
Okay.
but cook proper food. So I would cook some veg. I would cook some pasta. I make my own pasta.
Wow.
Which is quite therapeutic because you get to actually punch it and do that. But I'd
a lot
eat.
of effort here, Ollie.
I would eat that straight away. After cooking straight away, and then I would have a bath. And depending on how I was, the first 10 and 10 I've done, my sleep was all over the place. The last one I've done, maybe it's because it was a different time of year. The second one was in April. I was able to get through to 7-8 o'clock before.
But I remember
before
talking
I
to you at
slept.
all times at night.
Oh
on the
yeah,
10
but that
and
was
10.
like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Have our little romantic conversations then.
Yeah, they weren't romantic, but
I can't remember much. What did we talk about?
Simon's probably asking how many laps you'd done.
No, I wasn't. Let's move on. Victoria, what did you do?
What did I
End
do
of
to
each day.
recover? Well, I was generally home.
I mean, you've
by
got kids, haven't
lunchtime.
you?
I've got children, so I was having to ferry them here, there, and everywhere. But yeah, I was generally home lunchtime, had lunch, and then did stuff with the children, and then made sure I had pasta in the evening. Tried to go to bed early. And then back
So,
again the
I
next
mean,
day.
your recovery is pretty much keeping busy.
Yes, I have told the children this year that if I am attempting 10 marathons, I will not be ferrying them everywhere.
But hang
I
on.
will be just lying on the sofa.
I actually think that's
Good
it's
shout,
'cause,
good shout.
Again, like in terms of incidental advice or just accidentally happening upon things that seem to be the elixir. I think, and I have to force it because I have no responsibilities of my own, so I actually have to consciously get up off the sofa. I could just lay there till the next day started, which you'd love, Simon. But I actually think like getting up and just making an excuse to go walk to the shop, I don't need to buy a meal deal or something, is a thing.
Yeah.
So if I had children, that would actually probably help me recover for the next day. Well, maybe not.
What are you saying? You want
I
to
don't know
borrow
what-
some for the 10 in 10?
Yeah,
or
has
what?
anyone got one spare? I just
You can have both of mine.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Does anyone need any babysitting? I mean, what on the 10 is very hard to do. But I just, just waddling around, like not lots of exercise, but just going for an evening walk like we did for someone's birthday in the middle of it. I think I probably felt better with that and the gin and tonic we had at the end of it than any other day, and that was like day 5 or something.
Yeah.
So I just think that's really good recovery by accident.
Yep.
I
The
mean-
other thing I do is I change and wear OOFers, I think they're called, and I know they're really expensive. They're kind of like flip-flops, but they are so comfortable after running.
Yeah, just any sort of what is it? I got Under Armour ones of them. What are they called? Sliders or whatever. The things you wear on the beach or at the pool, but they're really different the way they feel on your feet. So I think wearing those barefoot, even if people around don't like the smell, is a great way of recovering. And obviously baths with Epsom salts. Had a bath every day in that strange lady's house.
Nice. Rick, what do you do?
Well, on the topic of baths, so the absolute magic gem for me was 10 minutes in a cold bath as soon as I could after running.
No,
so literally, it doesn't have to be an ice bath, but just run the cold tap, make yourself a nice cup of coffee, stick a body warmer on, and then literally go and sit in the bath, sort of waist down. And I did that religiously after all the multi-day stuff I did, and it was probably one of the very few sort of magic potions that I discovered, but it worked for me. And then the other thing, which you absolutely cannot underestimate, and I remember talking to you about this last time round, Simon, and it's sometimes easier said than done, but just get a good night's sleep. So strangely enough, the human body is pretty good at recovery without all of these potions and sort of tablets and magic things. So yeah, good night's sleep, and for me, 10 minutes in a cold bath.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I
And then you're
just
good to go.
did not sleep, and I do remember the conversation because we were talking about the muscles all over the place.
Yeah.
It couldn't calm down. I think it's only till about day 5 and 6 I started sleeping. I think. I don't know if that was for any of you guys.
No, I slept all right.
Of course you did.
Except, yeah.
Of course you did.
There's
All right.
enough wine, isn't it?
Passed
It does help.
There's a few. Do you want to? Let's do this one then. This is from Aaron Wyeth, I think his name is.
Aaron Wyeth, yeah.
YF,
Right.
yeah.
How do you approach the whole event day by day? So what was everybody's total routine here? I mean, I don't mind kicking off. If
Yeah,
I,
you
mine was literally I'd get up each morning, say goodbye to the kids, turn up. I loved what you had at Phoenix. Basically, we all start at this pub. So we'd turn up at the pub, we'd listen to everyone moan each morning for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I loved that. Absolutely loved it.
Love
Love
the
hearing
moaning.
other people being in
Yeah,
pain.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Absolutely.
There was so much of that deep heat smell and blue tape on people's legs, which that sort of thing makes them aroused, doesn't it? And then then I'd get worried about the Belgians. Vincent,
Splay.
Vincent, yeah.
Vincent coming down with his
Vincent
like,
and Ruth.
yeah, with that.
Are they coming back this year?
Yes, yeah.
Oh
they're back.
man, so
Yeah,
yeah,
He's got
they-
unfinished business, so he's going to be on your tail.
Vincent versus Simon.
yeah. So
round
that
2.
that psychologically did me with their like massive cool box thing. The race bit I think was probably the easiest bit for me of the 10 in 10.
You did a
Don't know
little
about
Facebook
everyone
Live
else.
video at the start.
I
didn't
did that,
you?
yeah. I made sure I did that.
Yeah, that's fun.
The actual race was like the best bit, and then I'd have to hop through it at home most days to get back to the kids or whatever. Remember crashing out on day 2, thinking, right, I need external help here because I couldn't do the cooking or anything like that. So then enlisted the family. Didn't sleep, but I think it's all about just getting to the start. If you can get to the start, make sure you're there and kick off on time. The rest of it sort of does itself, and that was my routine in a nutshell. I got really worried one morning when I didn't see Rob. Might have been like day 7 or 8. I'm like, where the hell is he? He didn't turn up. But you were there. You're probably late.
I was late.
But what was
yeah.
your routine?
So it was all the things I mentioned already, like the evening part. So start there, the evening, like you have the wine, you have the chips and things, and go and sit and watch the sun go down. It's really nice to listen to a bit of music, relax. Home for a bath, get an okay night's sleep because I don't know, a bit tired, bit drunk. None of the messing around. Just make sure you get a sort of solid 6 hours, which is fairly good for me. And then get up and go to, I haven't mentioned when we talk about food, the breakfast club. So the Weir, it's the Weir pub, right? The Weir pub has brilliant like breakfast. I think they sort of founded around the time of the 10 in 10.
Yeah, they did.
I
First
just
time they
remember
did it, yeah.
sitting with some of the regulars in there, and it was just like turning up at Cheers, like, and everyone's kind of at the bar, at the table, in the same places, and their little pots of tea serving each other. And then there's the war hospital you mentioned outside, Simon. But what was really good there is, no, you just ask someone, oh, can you, like as if it's like your husband or wife, like, can you like do my suntan lotion? Not that that's ever happened to me, but can you just tape up this bit of me that's hanging off, or can you like put this stuff on my feet? I saw and heard that so many times, and Like that was happening. Or can I borrow your shoes? Or have you got spare socks? And that was just brilliant, particularly by day 6 or 7. And yeah, but like I said, the routine was all the food and things we talked about. Just walking around in the mornings to get sort of warmed up, and sometimes someone would prey on. I prey on their good nature, and they'd give me a lift down, and then the run just sort of happened. I think the run was the easy bit.
But I mean, the thing is that it is routine, isn't it? This whole 10 and 10 is routine.
Absolutely.
If you don't have a routine, you're knackered. I think pretty much. I remember almost cleaning my teeth with Anadol or Anadol, and I needed to be segregated in my house. And I'm doing it again, but I'm literally going to have everything in its place because my brain switched off after about day 3. I remember going out one evening and then driving back to a place hadn't lived in for like 2-3 years.
Yeah, I think you were deeply invested in this now. And I think we are so different, but this was just sort of a happy accident for me. I had no expectations. I wasn't trying to win anything. I was just trying to do what I wanted to do. And once I'd done it a couple of times, it was like, oh right, I can do that, including the wine, and it will still be okay.
Anyone else have an interesting routine or?
Well, all I'd say to the breakfast club is. I was quite new to Phoenix running when I did the 10 in 10, and so I felt quite shy and out of it, and I didn't partake in the breakfast club.
I didn't.
And I wish that I had. I hear about it now, and so my advice would just be don't be shy, just go down there and have fun.
Well, that's interesting, yeah. So, to get that sort of feedback, because we just have to make sure we try and kind of encourage as many people as possible maybe into that, because I think it just sets you at ease a bit before you head off for your daily run.
There's no crowd thing here. It's just like I basically didn't know anybody really at Phoenix. And I genuinely, it's just nothing against anyone in the room who I've befriended since we did it. But I kind of turned up thinking this isn't about anybody else. This is about what I want to do and me. Everything else is just a bonus. Come sort of day 4 or 5, that's totally flipped on its head. I'm going back every day because I want to go and do something with other people, which has never been something I'm into. So when Rick, you said way early on, it's kind of a life-changing experience or, a real event. I think it completely changed the way that I saw running, like fundamentally. Like there've been hints of this is actually about doing this with other people. But then I thought, hang on, it's more about doing it with other people and being part of something than it is just me and my goals I want to do.
Yeah, it's massive camaraderie. It's not individual at all,
Yes.
10 and 10, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, think Aaron's question about kind of how do you approach it. I mean, I think that does depend on what you want to do. So it is worth everybody probably thinking about what is their goal. So is it to compete or is it to complete? And most people will want to come and complete it. That will be their goal. There is a lot of advice out there that says kind of go really easy on day 1 and hold back. I don't personally subscribe to that. I don't think holding back by half an hour on day 1 will give you that time back at any other point. I think I would very much recommend that people treat literally every day as it comes. So the routine of each day is really important, but actually the most important thing is you get to the end of whatever day it is and you can be totally and utterly wrecked, but what a difference a day makes. And what a difference a good night's sleep can make. So the most important thing is to get to the start line the next day. Yeah. Because if you're not at the start line, you're not gonna.
I do remember being pretty wrecked, like at least 3 days.
It was our 5 a.m. conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
Day 7, 8, 9.
Well, I mean, how were you at doing the 33 miles and your routine?
The same as really. So I had my breakfast routine. I got there, I tired up, and I felt like hell towards the end. Day 8 or 9. Really, really bad pains. But I turned up, I went there, I approached the first half, so the first 5 laps, absolutely me, it was cheesing it. I cheesed it the first 4 or 5 laps.
I remember you coming, you were with me in Victoria, weren't you?
Yeah, pretty much going through the half in 1:45, 1:50 most times, which was quite calm. And then I'll joke about for the last 5 because I done the 10 and 10 marathons before, so I knew that I could do. As long as, touch wood, nothing happened, which you never know if something's going to happen on time. I knew, I could do 10 marathons. I knew that. I didn't know whether I could do the 33 miles each day. So I thought, okay, I don't care about time. I'm just going to turn up, get halfway through, look at the clock, see, I've done 5 laps in 2.5, 2:20. I've now got, I think, 4 hours left then to do the additional 5. I can joke around which I'd done most of the days, except that crazy. Was it the crazy? Didn't we have a rainstorm on day 2, and then it was crazy hot on day 3 or 4?
There was a bit of hail, but then it was a heat wave for the rest of
It
it.
was a hail.
It started with frost, on the cars the first couple of days, and ended up in a heat wave. So it was. But let's face it, 32.8 miles a day. It's
it's 32.8. That's the measuring
stick.
stick.
Not to be scoffed at, Ollie. So you did well.
I've got to say though, in all of this, I am thinking. When you were speaking, Rick, I don't want to disagree because I never disagree with you on anything. But in terms of when you say completers, and I genuinely define myself as like having to survive this experience, particularly when I did set out, genuinely, I was thinking I'll do mixed distances. I'll do as many marathons as I can. This became the goal. And then like you said, depending on your goal. And then when I can't anymore, I'll do what I can in the time allowed, which was, I think, 6 hours.
7.
Plus 7 hours.
7.
Total cut off. And I thought I won't get there because obviously we're all going to degrade a bit over the week potentially. But then my thing with running, this is like a macrocosm of a marathon because it's 10 marathons or 10 long distance things in 10 days, which is just so far out of the comfort zone for a lot of people, and was for me massively, and will be again. But to get to the point, whenever doing a marathon in my early days, where I was trying to kind of achieve my best and keep going, like I would try to keep going for the 10 days, I had to run in what I call the envelope, which is or forever pace, where I feel like anything else notwithstanding, like tripping over or smashing my kneecap to bits, I can keep doing this forever as long as I stay fueled like a machine. And so on day 1, I accidentally ran a bit too fast, kind of a bit like, I'm going to blow up at some point and have to reduce myself down to a lower distance anyway. But then for the rest of the week, I was kind of in cotton wool within myself, making sure, kind of the opposite of you, Ollie. I guess I was running my first 6-7 laps of the 8 as carefully as I could, and I'd only allow myself a little bit of leeway towards the end last day when I ran my only ever negative splits marathon, because I'd kind of cotton wooled myself and would not allow myself to go over, I guess what you'd say 65-70% effort, because I would have blown up and I probably would never have done 10 marathons if I hadn't. It's possibly true for anyone else, but I just couldn't let myself get excited, however exciting the best holiday ever was. Had to be really calm.
Yeah, and I think you got to find what works for you. So everyone is different. So what works for me might not necessarily work for somebody else. So
probably
you got to
different
find
to me.
I was the polar opposite of you, Rob, but by accident as well. Because I just remember day 1, and I was sitting in 3rd, and then I went, do you know what? I reckon I could catch up and win day 1.
Simon's not competitive.
Not that it would matter.
Remember when he was
It
third?
didn't matter.
Just telling you my story, just telling you my one. So one day 1, then I remember getting back home, and the wife just went, "Don't do that. You're an idiot. You've got to pace this. It's stupid." And
that's what everybody tells you.
Yeah,
that's what everybody tells you. Ignore it.
Yeah. So I said, okay, fine. Then I came back the second day. Again, sat back in 3rd, I think, again, and then just went, you know what? I feel all right now, and I did it again. Then I did it again. Then I did it again. Then it was more about, okay, where's Vincent? Then it was more about, you need 3:30 to beat Vincent. And then it became about 3:30. Then it felt just like I was playing a game with him and me, and we were just spinning a Russian roulette, loaded gun, and somebody's legs were going to go. It really did feel that intense.
Was Vincent aware of all this?
I think so.
I think he's going to be now.
He is now.
I can
Someone
tell
send
you,
Vincent
he
the link.
definitely was.
We exchanged emails afterwards. And and I remember it was one of the saddest days ever, actually, when because the gun did go off on Vincent, and Vincent had to finish on day 9 with I think he got to about 17, 18 miles, and it upset me, because I just thought, wow, with his over, it sort of felt like mine was a bit, because I can't remember what the gap was between Vincent and 3rd, but it was pretty extensive. It was just me and Vincent on the 10 and 10 in the marathon category anyway. Which is why I'm going to stay well clear of that this year. I don't have to go through that again. I'm going to do Ollie's 33.
Yeah, and it's funny with stuff like that, because it what's happening sometimes with someone else's race can have a real effect on you. I had a very similar situation with Phil, who was a guy I was racing against in my first 10 in 10. The guy that came and did who runs Time to Run now.
Yep.
He's a very good runner, and we had a very similar thing. And his leg completely went on day 8, and I think it was day 8, and he went out and he went out super early and walked the entire thing, and then he had a stress fracture, so he literally couldn't carry on. And I remember running on day 9, and and I was devastated that he wasn't running. And I mean, it can technically ruin your whole, certainly ruins your day.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
ruin
this is
your
what I
whole
mean.
day.
It's more of a community thing. It's
Yeah.
And it adds to the routine as well. So every single time I was going through, right, running this, I'll do my 4 laps, 5 laps. I'll joke about a bit. Simon will come past me on my lap 7.
Yeah.
I'd see X, Y, and Z at that time. And when everyone was doing the same sort of things, everyone was doing the same things. You see the same things, and that adds to, well, it added to me being able to get through it. Right, I know, cool. Simon's coming over to finish now, so that's that. I've got 3 laps left to go.
Everyone in their place.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I mean,
where's Gareth gone?
Exactly like
this
that,
touches on Monica Fisk's questions, how people pace themselves over the 10. We haven't even touched on this yet, but some nutters are going to do 20 days of this, 20 and 20. Is anyone in the room doing that?
No.
Not yet.
No, we're not stupid.
I am technically.
Yeah. I mean, for the people out there doing 20 and 20, it's not been done before, has it? But same applies.
So I mean, when we did the Relentless series, I did 35 days of about 30 miles a day, but that series was 29 days Relentless. So I suppose that was at least a marathon a day, and I don't think actually you just fall into the routine. So when you get to day 10 and you go past day 10, and that was obviously something new for me when that happened, because I'd only done 10 in 10s before, and it's just more of the same. So if you've hit that routine, which you will have done by 10, it really is just a case of doing more of the same, and then barring some sort of injury or something changing that routine drastically, the rest is going to take care of itself. That's what I think.
I don't know if is this the same for everyone else, but I felt once you get to like day 8. It really was routine. It was easy.
Oh, for me, even earlier than that, day 3, day 4, it was routine.
You're actually looking at me straight face as well, Ollie. You serious?
Yeah.
For day 3, you're comfortable.
Yeah, well, I've done 10 and 10, or the most I've done other than that is 2.
Right.
I think maybe I've done 3 in 3, probably 2 or 3 times. Other than that, I went straight. I tried for my first 10. I'm going to run 5k a day myself each day to see how I could do. I got bored after 3-4 days because there was nothing else. Why am I doing this? There's no medal at the end of this. What's this about? But after day 3 or 4, it was like, I'm comfortable. Let's do the same thing and keep going.
Victoria,
Like I said,
did
keep
you have
turning
any
up.
of this?
I was definitely the same. I found day 2, 3 the hardest, and then it got easier,
Same.
and I got faster. My fastest run was on day 10.
Yeah, that's
Same.
got that. You see that a lot if you look at people's results. I mean, I think some of it is that it's the last day, and some people go hell for leather. But actually, I think when you look at days like 7, 8, 9, and 10, it's quite often that people get quicker and quicker. I mean, for me, it was always sort of day 3 and 4 were always the hardest days, and once you were over that kind of hump, you hit your stride. And
Why
then
do we all
that's it.
think 3 and 4 or 2, 3, and 4 are the hardest days?
I personally think that it's as much physiological as psychological. So I think a lot of people have done 1s and 2s and 3s before they do a 10 in 10, but not many people have done 5s, for example. Some have, but not many. And I think you go out, you run a marathon, and then what happens is you come home and your body goes into a recovery mode. But for a lot of people, they're doing Saturday and Sundays, so their body's fairly used to not going into recovery mode for at least another day. But when you get to day kind of 3 and 4 of a 10 in 10, because you maybe haven't done that before, your body's trying to switch into recovery mode, which is counter to what you want it to do, because you want it to get with the program and actually start helping you out. And I think that then kicks in on days kind of 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And once your body catches up with the program and realizes you're probably going to keep doing this, then it sort of starts to help you out. Your mind starts to relax. You know what's coming. You know what's gone before, and then you just hit that stride.
Plus, because like
days 4.
day 1, we're all running around like headless chickens. This is so exciting. Got 10 days off work type thing.
Best holiday ever.
Best holiday ever. That's a Saturday. Day 3 is a Monday. All of the weekend junkies have gone home or gone back to work, and you're left with the core 10 in 10ers.
Yeah, let's not pretend we knew what day it was.
I
never knew what day it
was.
was.
You do, because
No
day
idea.
3 and 4 is literally like, oh, everyone's gone. We're so far away from finishing this.
Yeah.
The the honeymoon period is well and truly finished.
Yeah, but as you say, like day 2 and day 3 are horrendous because, as I say, I genuinely really don't like doing multi-days and doubles. I've always been forced as training for longer stuff.
And you're coming back again.
No, but come back and do it. Yeah, it was punishment. But got to do it, and then once you're through that, it's like you say, Rick, I see it as, well, you've been 24 hours in this body, in this routine now of yo-yoing from one run to the next. The body, as it does on long ultras like 100 miles, it eventually gives up sending out the pain signals, and it just quits.
Yeah,
and then there's nothing else that can hurt. You've worked through the A to Z of your body. There's no bones or nerves left. You're then fine. But in terms of the routine and pacing and referencing, seeing people drop out, I did, like I said, I started out, I was lone wolf, but I was using the lovely Kerry Shevlin, Jen Porch, who were running the halves. They would pace me my first 4 laps, where, as always, I've been trying to sort of go for it. But then on the marathon sort of side of things, seeing people sort of drop out, that was, in a way, heartbreaking, not just because they were sort of punctuation points, like you say, Ollie, on your journey, but as they weren't going to achieve their goal anymore, like, that was crushing, and it made you feel
How many
mortal.
do we have of that? Do you remember how many people sort of started at a set distance and then had to drop? How many 10 in 10ers were there last year?
Yeah, so we had 70. So basically, we were expecting 70 on day one, and all 70 turned up. So we had 100% start rate, and then we actually only lost 2 people in the entire event. So Vincent actually dropped out on day 8, I think it was, and then we had one other person.
Sam Hedges, I think.
It was Sam. Yeah, it was day 9, or maybe it was the other way around. And then we had 6 other people who dropped distances. Yeah. But they all still completed. They were people that went from a marathon to a half marathon. But 68 out of 70 did all 10 days. That's and 10 days, is the challenge. I think even more than the distance. It's about doing a 10-day event. So 68 out of 70 made it to day
just where
10.
you get to know and sort of love
it's
these
amazing.
People who you haven't met before, and you're so invested in what they want to do, and you want to finish it together. Suddenly, like they're your best mates or whatever, and it's just it's heartbreaking. But then seeing them still finish it in 68 out of 70, that's pretty good.
It's staggering. Yeah.
Anyone but Rick, do you think the outfit has anything to do with that at all, as in the success rate there? Ollie, you've done a few, so I mean,
for me, yeah, totally. If I'm there and I'm having a laugh, that's going to keep me going.
People as well, then.
Oh, definitely. It's like you're coming out, you're having the same jokes, you're with it with everyone else to go through endeavour. Yeah. For me, if you're there by yourself, if things are going bad, you're going to more likely talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
You sit there, you turn up. Oh, you're all like bantering with each other the evening before. Like, where's Rob? What drink's he doing tonight?
Why isn't he at the start line?
Yeah.
Where is he?
What emo oil has he got today? But all of those things together, it gets you there. And then once you get there, you're there. For me, like I said, hell for leather for the first half, joke around for the second half.
Yeah, great model.
Right. There's a question here. Jenny Mendes sort of rolls on mental preparation. How do you guys mentally and coping with it? So we've talked about, it's more, for me, it's a camaraderie thing, that 10 in 10. I was competing, but I didn't go there to compete.
There you go. Simon has admitted that he is competitive.
But I didn't go there to compete. I didn't. I went there thinking, right, we're going to do 4-hour marathons a day, and I'm going to see this as a holiday. Ended up being 3:30 marathons and slogs and really punishing.
And brushing your teeth with Dettol.
Yeah, but I still enjoyed it.
You see, I turned up on day one wanting to do an average of 2-hour half marathons. And then I met Simon. I think it was probably the first time I met Simon.
Yeah,
on about day 2, and he starts talking to me about, am I in the lead? What time is the next person going?
You were in the lead.
Why are you Facebook living me?
And then all I could think about was the time and running the fastest that I could. So thanks for that, Simon.
That's all right. But mentally, though, I mean, that was okay?
Yeah. Just turning up each day, I think.
Just getting there to the start line.
Just getting to the start each day.
What about like during it? I mean, Rick, how does it work your end? I mean, that must be even harder than us, really. You're there from start to finish.
Definitely.
Well, I suppose when we put the first one on last year, I did one of my proverbial lists of all the things that we should be doing as organisers to try and make it as easy for you guys as runners to literally just rock up and run. So that was the whole idea around it, was to apply whatever experience I had to try and facilitate it for as many people as possible. And I think that's, this year we've got, all ends of the spectrum. We'll have people that are absolutely there to see if they can get round, to complete. Time is not important at all. We've got Adam who's going to turn up and he's going to try and run 20 straight sub-3s and get a Guinness World Record out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we really have got both ends of the spectrum, but I think what I don't want that to do in any way, shape or form is intimidate anybody. So I don't want people to kind of come along and go, oh, there's a guy out there who's doing this, because it really, the 10 in 10 is for absolutely everybody. It's a real leveler, and it doesn't matter how fast, how fast you go, how slow you go, how long you take. You will all get a really good experience from it. And we've got a lot of new people this year. So we've got, I think right now today we've got 86 people signed up. So it's bigger than last year. And we got, I think 24 or 25 of those are 20 in 20s.
Oh,
and then
God.
60 something are 10 in. And actually that doesn't include the 5 in 5. So we've got a group of 5 in 5ers joining us in week 2. Plus all the single day entries. So it's definitely going to be bigger than last year. I'm not convinced we'll get quite as many spiky big days, because we had a couple of days where we got, like 100 single day runners come and join us. And so we had 160, 180 people. I think it might be a bit flatter this year.
But that was nice though, actually. I quite liked those islands that were the weekend. Just mix things up. You see some of those people, on the circuit, you've seen loads, but they just don't happen to be having that week off to come to the weird Butlins with us all. But it's just
weird Butlins.
Yeah, a little weird holiday camp. But it's just it's some extra entertainment showing up.
Does anyone know how many tit houses there are this year at all? Is anyone in one?
I'm staying in a tit house with Vercoe, yeah.
Oi, oi.
I think
the Opera House, I think we're going to call that.
I think there's 3 or 4, I don't know.
3 or 4.
3 or 4.
There was going to be one big Phoenix nest that was going to have 10 people in it, but that didn't come to pass.
Yeah.
There's a few people knocking around in Airbnbs now.
I think there's a few people camping.
I was just going to say, there's definitely a few. I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest gatherings, actually. There's at least
So it could be
probably
like a
10.
festival.
Yeah, I wonder how that will be, though, actually. It'll be different for me, obviously, compared to being sort of sitting on my own by the riverbank or to my own device, or having to not share a bath, but you know what I mean. Take turns. don't share
River
very well,
Thames
even when
is
it's
a
someone
bath for
else's house. But just can you get away from it? Because if you're in a tit house, you might just be talking about it all the time, obsessing it. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I don't think I'd be good in that environment at all.
He'd have a little scoreboard with everyone's results at the dinner table. Aside, we're trying to eat.
Why aren't you on your dessert yet?
Yeah.
So no one else. Victoria, could you live with others for 10 days?
No.
Other runners, no. Ollie,
Kick them out.
well, no, you just wouldn't do it, would you?
Just
No,
wouldn't do it,
I
no.
couldn't do it. Ollie, could you
No,
do it?
I think I needed to be in my own space doing my own thing.
Yeah, sure. Well, I might come and visit you a couple of days, Rob.
Yeah, we've got the best sofa bed of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. There's one more
Copyright.
question. There's one more question from Jem Porch. Somebody thinking about doing 10 halves or 10 fulls or whatever, but 20 and 20. Her question is, maybe she wants to do 10 halves and then maybe she wants to do 10 fulls
And join them together as 20 halves.
Yeah,
or
20
more.
somethings.
Yeah.
What's the best way of going about doing that?
That's a really interesting question, actually. I hadn't seen that
Would you do
question
20?
before.
Would you do 10 halves and then 10 fulls?
No,
Or
you do 10 marathons, then 10 halves.
Well, do you know
No,
what?
why
I
don't
don't
alternate?
know.
alternate.
no,
I don't know.
that's not how it works.
Matt runs.
I was thinking alternating.
Matt runs
but-
London did
Yeah.
the alternate.
Oh, no,
didn't he?
you're right, actually. Alternate, definitely alternate.
Yeah, that's probably.
But then I think you'd get a bit sloppy. You'd be like, it's a half marathon day tomorrow, so that's an extra bottle.
Or go my strategy, which I was going to do last time. Do as many marathons as you can, then go down to halves and just see how it falls.
Yeah, there's just no right answer to this,
That
is
is
there?
my approach for this year. Run as many marathons as I can do,
But but you're going to do 10. You're going to do 10.
That's the aim. But if I only make 5 marathons and then I do 5 halves,
I'll give you a stern look and be like, I had to bloody do this. You can do this.
But that is a really good way to do it.
I'm trying to.
Well, you've got a couple of fallback options, but you've got a couple of kind of goals. So you've got your primary goal, which could be 10 in a certain time. Then you've got your secondary goal, which is to complete 10, and then you've got a fallback, which is, well, I'm going to do 10 halves. So yeah, that's good, because then you won't necessarily fail at anything.
No.
Mm.
You'll just readjust if needs be, and that's a good way to do it.
It's a great
yeah.
point, because so much can happen. Like you don't know. You could have a fall. I've fallen on that path, not during one of the events before, just fallen over, smashed my knee up.
A lot of people fall on that path.
You've got to have a fallback.
Watch those tree
otherwise-
roots, guys.
And I'd say, obviously, you mentioned the guy got a stress fracture, but notwithstanding anything serious happening, or you just can't come one day, keep coming back and do whatever you can, but just have, like, I guess, a backup goal in mind.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be bad. I sort of went the other way, obviously, had a lower expectation myself, as I often do, and then I suppose for me, overachieved, but that meant I never had to do it again, except I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what we're all doing this again?
I just want to spend more time with you all.
Well, you would.
Yeah, I did look to see if I could like make
Slot
my
it
own 10 in 10 from like day 5 to day 15, but I've got a 100-miler.
Rob, why are you doing this? Why are you doing it again?
I think I've forgotten, as you often do, the physical pain of it, and I feel like it's time to go back and do something like this again for fitness and practical reasons, and also to rediscover a bit of the love for the community. Not that it's gone anywhere, but just I've not felt that kind of intense kind of community feeling for ages, on one day at a time, but not kind of we're in this together.
Yeah, it builds up. I remember day 10, nobody left that finish line. Nobody.
No, we were all there
day
for
10 was
ages.
amazing.
Everyone
Yeah.
stayed
Absolutely
there.
amazing.
Everyone stayed there.
Yeah, I remember all the blue shirts in the pub, and you're right, everybody stayed around, and as everybody finished, the cheers got louder and louder and louder. Yeah, it was
so I
brilliant,
remember being like, oh, I've got to go. Oh, no, Rich is coming in. I got to wait. Oh, no, Cowlin's coming in. I don't think I did wait, Rob.
You were there, yeah.
I was
You were
there.
still
Okay.
Yeah, we were all there for
No, I just can't believe it. Obviously, I was probably the last person who finished out of this group. I genuinely couldn't, and people always say this, I genuinely couldn't believe that I think I could see everyone I'd seen out on the course either still running backwards and forwards with me, or they were waiting there, having drinks and things, but it was like best party ever at that point. It was amazing.
Yeah.
The sea of blue we saw when he came back. And it's like, you say, Rick, it's like a really emotional sort of moment. Similar.
Victoria, why are you doing this again?
Because I had such a good time last year. I probably was the first person to sign up, I think.
You probably were,
I
yeah.
probably was. 9 o'clock on the following
Really?
day.
Yeah.
And I
Jesus.
signed up again. And I knew I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to do half marathons again.
Yeah.
I've done that. So marathons is the obvious aim.
Did you have to pull into a lay-by again to sign up this time?
What? Tell the story?
Not explorer class, is it? No.
Tell the story.
Well, Rick keeps launching events at 7 o'clock in the evening when I am on a swimming run transporting my daughter from the swimming pool home, and because I don't want to miss out, I've got real FOMO, I had to pull over at the services on the A3 to enter an event with my
that's not
teenage
healthy.
daughter looking at me as though I was completely off my rocker.
Like there's a chance it could sell out, but I suppose it always could,
Yeah.
couldn't it? So
Yeah, but you got in.
I
Rick,
got
this
it.
is
the
what
main
you do
thing.
to people.
Oh, my God. So how long we got? We got, what, 4 weeks? 3 weeks? Something like that?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not 4 weeks anymore. Yeah, it must be about 3 weeks.
Something we haven't talked about much. I mean, obviously people are of a certain condition, but the last question I think, or the one before, was kind of hinting at were you being prepared or feeling fit enough and deciding what your goals are. How do you decide? I suppose, Rick, you've set out for the extreme level when you did it.
Yeah, I mean,
How?
I think personally, if someone said to me, how am I going to set my 10 in 10 goals, I would say start with what you wish you could do, and put your wish first, then sort of bring it perhaps back into a realm of reality. And when I say, if you wish you could run all 10 marathons in 3 hours, put that down as number one. It might not be reality today. So start with your wish list, work them sort of backwards, and then basically have a look at that list, probably 5, 6, 7 things on that list, and then look at the ones that are reality and pick the one that's going to push you, and then have a couple of backup ones. That's exactly what I did.
So much detail, though. I never thought about any of this. It's just like turn up. It's just supposed to be fun. At the end of the day, it's
That's
supposed to be
why
fun.
you brushed your
Don't
teeth with the wrong stuff.
Yeah, don't scare yourself, though.
But
Just turn up and have a go.
Yeah, but you say that. You might not have sat down and thought about it before you did it,
No.
but once you turned up and you sort of fell into that routine, you ended up doing
Yeah, I
pretty
did
much
do a routine.
exactly what
you've just
what's
said. Yeah,
happened
yeah,
is you sort of you almost did it in reverse. You sort of started out and you thought, hold on a minute, I wonder if I could, so you came with an idea of sub 4s, then it turned into sub 330s, and that was the sort of thing I had on my list. Was can I? So my list for Braithwaite was, first of all, I wanted to win the event. Then secondly, I wanted to run every day in sub 4. Then I wanted to run every day in sub 330. So I had kind of my list of things. And the idea would be is that if you sort of didn't do one of those goals on one day, so if you ran 333, well, okay, you just switch out the 330 goal and it becomes the 4-hour goal, but you've still got a goal to work to. You were doing that. You were doing it in your head.
Maybe. All right, well, that's all the questions we got, and we're bang on our usual hour, Rob. To be honest, so
That was good.
It was good. I mean,
hopefully helpful to everyone who sent in questions. Thanks very much.
We're all going to see everyone at the Breakfast Club then.
Yeah. Don't you forget about me.
Do we have to go? Do we have to go to registration first on day one?
Only on the first day,
and then it's Breakfast Club.
And then it's Breakfast Club for 9 days, 19 days.
I strongly recommend the Eggs Benedict is fantastic.
I'm going to go for a 10. I only managed 7 out of that was one of my goals last year. Was 7 fully.
You were having a bigger breakfast than everyone else's. We were all like ponzing around with.
I'm going to go for a 10. A 10 in 10 full English. Yeah.
You've got a lot of work to do, Rick, so you deserve it.
Right, well, I guess we'll see everyone in...
See you on the bench for some sorine and coffee.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much, guys, for taking the time to come and talk to us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you there.
Thank you. Bye.